Tonight on the Black Channel, is sports real black empowerment? The answer may surprise you. The Black Channel is live. Unapologetic, unadulterated, and absolutely uncompromising. Greetings, brothers and sisters from around the world, and welcome back to the home, the haven, the stronghold, the everlasting super fortress of intelligent black thought. We are the Black Media, and this is the Black Channel. And I am your host, your brother, your humble servant, the voice of Black America, the Black Authority, broadcasting to you live from the only historically black college university of higher education and learning in the cosmos. You are, of course, welcome to join us. And join us you shall, because on tonight's program here, we're going to have to go a little bit deep off in the woods about this tonight here. When I started the Black Channel, I've always had it centered on socioeconomics, because the bottom line is they hate you because you're black, but they're able to victimize you because you're poor. And you are engineered into that position. You are placed into that position. You're corralled into that position. And the entire system is set up for one purpose: for you to take a look at where you are, and then for you to tell yourself that you got there on your own. That's the whole point. Inversely, that's only when you're at a disadvantage. That's only if you're being discriminated against. That's only if you're being victimized. Now, if you succeed, then it becomes the reverse. Well, when you fail, that's all your fault. If you didn't make it, that's all your fault. If you succeed, so I'd like to thank these folks here who gave me this chance to get where I'm at here. I'm so glad they gave me this chance here. So when you succeed, you have to thank them, and you need to show gratitude to them, and you need to be grateful to them. But when you point out, by the way, I couldn't help but notice how much better you all are doing over there, even though I'm doing all the work. That's your fault. That's you. So you get to carry all the so-called bad, and you have to give thanks to them for all the so-called good. And I think an area that has encapsulated this perfectly has been college sports. To call it a modern-day plantation would be kind. But I want you all to understand what the real issue here is. I want you to know and understand what the real issue is, and to not get deceived or sidetracked into what the real issue isn't. Because it can be very, very easy to get confused. Now, I've been following this now, as you all know, for the better part of a decade and a half. I have stayed vigilant on it. And as I've been tracking what's been happening here, you can see that now the tides have begun to shift. A whole bunch of people who told you about what wasn't going to happen and what could never happen, and you niggas is crazy, and them folks ain't never going to do XYZ. And now you see all of them have gotten deadly quiet. That's the way it always goes. Please understand something. The folks who are against you, the failures in life who do not succeed, just understand they are always going to be loudest. Always going to be loudest. Right up until you make the slightest sign of progress, and what they're showing you is how weak they are. The people who are actually talking down on what we're doing, just understand they're the weakest ones in the room. That's why they're the loudest ones in the room. And the second you make an inch of progress, they start getting real quiet. First they get real salty. Then they start getting real quiet. And it's like, hey, where'd all that energy go? Where went the you'll never make it? It immediately flips on a dime. It goes from you'll never make it to, well, y'all just gonna piss it all away and throw it off. And that's why I wanted to show you this article here. That was why I wanted to show you that. This was something here. And actually, I got it from YouTube there, ABC Channel 7 on YouTube. Now, this is from their website, which you see on your screen. NCAA and the leagues sign off on a $2.8 billion plan. And by the way, this is lowballing it. This is not actually what they owe. They actually should owe something on the magnitude of 40 or 50 times this amount. But I digress. Setting the stage for dramatic change across college sports. Oh boy. Isn't that interesting? Now, I want to show you a little bit from the article, and then I want to show you what tonight's broadcast is really about. I'm going to do a little bit from the article, but then I want to show you what it's really about. The NCAA and the nation's 5 biggest conferences have agreed to pay nearly $2.8 billion to settle a host of antitrust claims, a monumental decision that sets the stage for a groundbreaking revenue-sharing model, that could start directing millions of dollars directly to athletes as soon as the 2025 fall semester. The deal must still be approved by the federal judge overseeing the case, and challenges could arise. But if the agreement stands, it will mark the beginning of a new era in college sports, where athletes are compensated more like professionals, and schools can compete for talent using direct payments. So all the folks who sit up here, every time we start talking about giving us cash money, do you all understand that's where the resistance, that's where the fight always comes from? When we sit up here and when the folks start talking about tokens, oh, we'll give you a Heisman Award. You can have a scholarship. How would you like to have free tuition? Folks don't fight you over that. But the second that you start talking about cash payment in hand, all of a sudden folks start fighting. Now, Nick Saban can get tens of millions of dollars to the extent that he has to be a line item in the state of Alabama's budget, which means all the taxpayers in the state of Alabama are paying for one man. Understand that. But, and that's okay. That's not controversial. As a matter of fact, you should be glad to pay Nick Saban and the chancellor of the school and the dean and the chairman. Why, they should get that. Soon as you show up, all of a sudden, that cash money thing is, I don't know about that right there. I mean, I'm trying to protect you morally. No, folks, before today is over, I want you to understand the argument that they're making is where we're trying to morally protect the students from all that evil money. No, I'm not kidding. I'm not joking. That's what I'm going to show you here in a little bit that's what they're saying. Now, apparently they are completely unconcerned about the moral condition and hazards of Nick Saban and all these other college coaches. And the deans and the chairmen, the ones, who don't get paid with scholarships, the ones who don't get paid with something other than money, the ones who only accept money. Well, nobody seems to be concerned about their moral jeopardy. That doesn't seem right to me. I mean, you're throwing millions of dollars at them. Are you not attempting to completely condemn them morally? So you care nothing about the coaches. Oh, damn them. And we're going to give them enough money to damn their souls. But the students, we must save you. We must preserve you. And giving you that money would only corrupt you. What will happen to you? How will you spend it? Nobody asks Nick Saban. Oh, y'all don't want to hear this. Nobody ever asks Nick Saban how he's gonna spend it. What? The 720 degrees of analysis you'll receive absolutely nowhere else. By the way, hey, when you go to these comment sections and when somebody wants to say that kind of thing, I noticed you've never asked how Nick Saban's gonna spend his. You never ask how any of these white coaches, how they're gonna spend what they get. You've never worried about that. It's only when it's time to cut the check to a black person that all of a sudden they become obsessed with, well, how you gonna spend that there? But you're not concerned about the white guys now. They're going to spend it. Well, what is that? That's very, very interesting. Isn't that interesting, people? That's very consistent when you think about it from the plantations to now. Remember, they said that to us on the plantations. Remember, I have to remind you of that. They said that to us then. This is not new. This is why when Brother Malcolm X was speaking, when he was alive, he had to point that out, that by the way, they have sat up here and maneuvered you into this con game where they tell you that, oh, I want all you black folks to know that, yes, as white people, we're living much better, and we've hoarded the wealth, and we have victimized you and persecuted you, but just understand, God's going to even this out for you. Why, you are so much more noble than us. You're so much more noble. Why, you and your noble poverty. It is so noble of you that you have not succumbed to the evils that we have with all this wealth that we have made and hoarded off of you. But don't worry, you are living in misery and suffering, but you're going to get your pie in the sky. You didn't get your piece of the pie here, but you will get your pie in the sky and your heaven in the hereafter. Now, I'm going to eat like a hog down here. But don't worry, I will eat for the first 80 years, and you will get to live well for the remainder of eternity. Because your moral character and your moral integrity, I've seen to it by oppressing you, by denying you resources. I've seen to it that your moral character remains intact. Now, mine has been devastated. Mine's been destroyed. I'm on the highway to hell. You are so much better and so much more noble. So, by depriving you, I'm looking out for you. Well, why aren't you looking out for your daughters and sons? Ah, damn them. I care about you much more than my daughters and sons. Really? You mean when you're making me suffer and everything, that's caring? I'd like to see you a little less caring, as a matter of fact. Can we do that one? No. Matter of fact, let me get this boot on your neck. You talking back too damn much. Yeah, your moral character's starting to get weak again. Let me help firm it up for you here. So, folks, do you all understand that's the way that goes? Every time that we steer the conversation towards cash payments, that's when it all changes. When I was talking about Brother Malcolm last week, that's when it all changes. What he said, they abandoned their schools, which are built and produced by the economy, abandoned their houses, built and produced by the economy. Soon as we start turning our attention towards, by the way, you need to start breaking off a piece of that economy too. Can they abandon their economy the way that they abandoned their schools and their houses? No, they cannot. Now you found the root of the issue. And if you tap into that, well, that fixes everything, because that's how they've been depriving you. So we have been the new black media has been an effort to focus our attention on the real issue, the socioeconomic foundation, and that we need to own our proper and rightful piece of it that has been denied us. When that occurs, all of a sudden, all these other issues start to fall off. Yes, because they can't accomplish those other issues if you're not poor. As a group. Now, if you are well off as an individual, they can still get you. But when you are together, that's one thing. When you're together with resources, now you're unstoppable. You take a look at this next sentence here. There's no question about it. It's a huge quantum leap, said Tom McMillan, the former Maryland basketball player and congressman who led a group of collegiate athletic directors the past years. Okay, not sure what that meant. The Pac-12 was the final conference to sign off when university leaders voted Thursday to approve the plan. According to a person with direct knowledge of the decision, Southeastern Conference school leaders unanimously approved the deal a few hours earlier. A second person with knowledge of the decision said, both spoke to the Associated Press on condition of anonymity because a coordinated announcement among the Pac-12, SEC, Big Ten, Big 12, Atlantic Coast Conference, and NCAA was still being prepared. All met a Thursday deadline set by plaintiffs' attorneys. People, for those of you who remember your English history, this is a Magna Carta moment. This is a Magna Carta moment where after all these decades of the weak and the cowardly and those without any type of moral constitution whatsoever, those who have given themselves over to the whorehouse of society, after telling you for decades about what couldn't happen and what would never occur and this, that, and the other, now all of a sudden in 1 week it's spun on a dime, and now you're standing outside the king's tent with your swords telling him you're going to sign this document. We're not accepting anything else for an answer. You gonna sign this document. And that's just all there is to it. You're going to sign this. And now they all, well, it'll take us some time, and it's not going to take you a bunch of time either. You have till this Thursday. But you're going to sign this. And they all got together and, oh, should we or shouldn't we? So I suggest you think quickly. You have till Thursday. But you're going to sign this. And next thing you know, your so-called big and powerful men come groveling out of the tent exactly the way that those of us who were the insurrectionists told you it would be. And now here they are, and they have acquiesced. Look it up. They have consented and conceded to your terms. The reason why this is a bellwether moment is because it only gets bigger from here. The first time y'all cut the first check, it sets off this voracious monster you call capitalism, and it's only gonna get bigger from here. That's the reason you have spent decades trying to hold back the tide, because you know the moment you sign the first one, the moment you give into the first one, it only gets bigger from here. Now, you can go and take a look and see some of these things here. It says, now it is not far-fetched to look ahead to seasons where a star quarterback or top prospect, boy, they pocket watching just already. Nobody's pocket watching the coaches. Nobody's pocket watching the deans. Nobody's pocket watching the chancellors. Nobody's pocket watching the endowment. They sitting up here thinking, boy, these would be a bunch of high school age black males. How much they gonna be getting all of it? What's in that pocket? What you getting? We need to start projecting how much you gonna get. Nobody's doing that to the coaches who've been making money hand over fist. Nobody spent decades doing this to them. As soon as you show up, wait a minute now, we need to know what you gonna get. That tells you what this is all really about. A star quarterback or top prospects on the college basketball team are not only cashing in big money NIL, that stands for name, image, likeness deals, but have a $100,000 school payment in the bank to play. For now. I want you all to understand where this goes. That now, remember, what sets off the bidding wars in the NFL is your performance in college. So that's why college gets so much attention. But now, if you're going to start paying players in college, well, that starts you focusing on the high schools. So you see, this money conversation is something that's going to come up before you get to the pros, which means that money management is a conversation that's going to come up before you get to the pros. Now it's coming up in college, but wait, it gets better. Now the conversation is going to have to start happening in high school. We're going to have to start having conversations with these kids in high school about what they're going to do when they start getting paid in college. So you see, financial literacy is about to become a real tangible thing, because you will no longer be discussing hypotheticals. You will now be doing what the white kids got, and you will be discussing tangibles. You will now be discussing tangibles. Something, we ain't discussing theory anymore. Now we're discussing real money moving. And let's be very, very clear about this. As adults, yes, when you got small children, we can talk to them that way, in that manner. But let me just explain one more thing to you right here. Money moves people, as a man once said to me. Money moves people. Money moves people. There was an Ice-T song with Ice-T and the Syndicate, where the fella in the song said, money changes everything. Money changes everything. So when we talking to high school kids, and it's not hypothetical, we talking about, oh, there's a real literal check on the table. Money changes everything. When he knows, whoa, it's real money we discussing. Not theoretical. There's tangible, actual real money we discussing. Money changes everything. Changes the focus. Changes your attitude. Changes your reaction. Real money, physical, tangible dollar bills change everything. Changes the whole discussion. Especially when you have an opportunity to have access to it. Changes the whole discussion. And this is the kind of thing that we've been talking about now for decades here. Because this changes the national narrative. Jason, why? Because all of you who are parents have kids who are in school. But up until now, you were not able to discuss your child in high school getting paid for playing. Up until now, you couldn't do that. You had to hope that one of these white institutions, one of these predominantly white institutions, would accept your kid, and that hopefully if they were lucky enough to get there, then you could start the conversation. So you were conditioned to think there was, if they gotta let my kid in before we can even talk about this. This changes the whole paradigm. This is a paradigm shift across the board, because now we get to have a different conversation when it matters. We start talking to them about their name and their image and their likeness. We're getting off into legal things. We're getting off into intellectual property, a discussion that has to happen with them, not when they get to the pros. And remember, they prevented you from finding this out in college. They said, no, we don't need to discuss that in college. I thought college was supposed to be teaching you all kinds of things. We're teaching you everything except this forbidden knowledge. So college was teaching you about everything except name, image, likeness. That was forbidden knowledge. Ain't that amazing? University is supposed to be higher education. Yes, we educate them about everything except that which will give them power, wealth, and influence. We tell them that's forbidden. Now that it's no longer forbidden, that conversation will now move all the way into grade school. Do you understand that this is a revolutionary change? When you talk about a quantum leap, no wonder they fought so hard to stop it. No wonder they fought so incredibly hard to stop it. Because once you cut the first check, everybody else's perspective on this will change. Everyone around them is going to make a change. Every young man around them is going to make a change. His family and his friends going to make a change. Everyone is going to see it differently at an earlier age. Not when you can get folks off in the room by themselves with some agents in the league. We're going to start having this conversation early. And that's not the discussion you're supposed to be having. That ain't it. That's not what's supposed to be occurring. There's a perspective on this I want you all to understand, because I'm asking this question tonight because it matters. Is sports actually, quote, real black empowerment? Is sports real empowerment? And I can understand why you would have some of the perspectives that some of you might have. I want to say to you all that is sports black empowerment? My answer to you is a resounding yes. Because everything that moves should be moving for our empowerment. And what I think is that folks have this artificial standard and artificial barrier in their minds that, well, only if you hit a certain number or only if you hit a certain mark, well, that's empowerment, and anything below that is not. And I'm telling you, I think you have a fallacious perspective on that. I can understand why, and I spent decades discussing this with you all, but I want to have an opportunity here to clarify this for you. For those of you who are not aware, this one coming here, Black Enterprise Magazine, Ice Cube sells his first Big Three team in a historic deal. The league, co-founded by Cube in 2017, expects to sell 3 more teams. Keep that in mind. Ice Cube has taken the Big Three basketball league to new heights with big changes and an historic $10 million deal. On May 10th, the hip-hop mogul announced the $10 million sale of his first Big Three team to a group of investors led by DCB Sports, Deadline reports. The league, co-founded by Cube in 2017, expects to sell 3 more teams before the start of the 2024 season on June 15th in Oakland. That's symbolic there, ain't it? As part of the league's rapid growth, its 12 teams will transition to home markets, with Toronto and the United Kingdom among the leading contenders. It's a huge step for Cube's league, which started with just 8 teams during its 2017 inception. No teams have been associated with major cities until now. This is an historic day for the Big Three. We have all-star basketball talent, millions of loyal fans around the world, and we are one of the most viewed sports programs of the summer on CBS. So y'all can see, you got folks coming in, and this is huge. This is huge. Oh yeah, one more thing. All the folks who said that this wasn't gonna make it. By the way, can anybody find any of those people today? By the way, one more thing. For all the folks who said it wasn't going to make it and this wasn't going to work out and you can't take on the NBA and y'all niggas crazy. The y'all niggas crazy crowd. The y'all niggas crazy always jump up when it's time to make revolutionary change. Y'all niggas crazy doesn't sit up here and move a toe in their own best interest. But when you try to get up, y'all niggas crazy is the first. All of a sudden he got energized. Y'all niggas crazy. Well, you didn't say anything when we were suffering. As soon as you talking about, y'all niggas crazy. What y'all think y'all doing? Y'all see y'all niggas crazy. And as soon as you make some progress, not even a lot, as soon as you make a little bit, Mr. Y'all niggas crazy. Y'all wrong with it. Y'all, it ain't all about money. It goes from y'all niggas crazy to money and everything. Oh, so you just a hating ass nigga who's upset that we're not failing. Like you. Oh, you were happy when we were sitting there next to you and failing. But as soon as we make it very clear that we're not going to fail, now all of a sudden, y'all niggas wrong. Y'all gonna get immoral. Y'all gonna be just like them white folk over there. That money gonna corrupt y'all. Okay, so let me get this straight. You sitting over here looking stupid and bummy, you are the righteous. And you get to judge the rest of us. But us succeeding while we are the wicked. You're the righteous and we're the wicked. And you are attempting to save us. You are attempting to save us. In the chat room, Iron Madman, wrong idea. But that's exactly what I'm referring to right there. That's exactly what I'm referring to. See, we have these artificial standards in our heads. As black folk, you tend to have artificial standards, artificial ideas. Well, he needs to meet this menu right here. And what I'm saying is, in the process, you wind up making the perfect the enemy of the good, as an old saying goes. You start making the perfect the enemy of the good. Let's be very, very clear, folks. General Motors has investors. Tesla has investors. Facebook has investors. So let's get to reality here. For folks who want to, it's not about you guessing your way through things and hypothesizing. Folks, the biggest companies on earth have investors. The biggest ones on the planet have investors. And an investor, of course, is investing because they want an ownership stake. But they have investors. McDonald's has investors. Come on now, see, this is why we have to have financial literacy, because this is the part of financial literacy, is that you don't sit up here and let some sort of social religious dogma dictate to you where you're sitting up saying, well, I mean, who the other folk is. Okay, because that's not the biggest issue. The biggest issue is, do they have the ability to remove you? If they don't, fine. Now, if they have the ability to remove you, that's an issue. But if they don't, everything's fine. So the biggest businesses have investors. The issue is not about if you have investors. You are not going to be viable against the NBA or the NFL if you don't have deep pockets, which means you better have unlimited access to capital, which means you're going to need investors. It might be banks, it might be a trust, it might be a consortium, it might be venture capital. You're going to need investors. You're going to need that. You're going to need that. Trying to carry it all by yourself, that's the other thing right there, is that nobody who makes a business scale up does it on their own. We're getting into basic entrepreneurship here and basic investing, but if you're going to scale up a business, if you're just going to have two little old teams, well, you can probably do it yourself. If you're looking to scale this up, people, scaling up a business requires investment. If you're just going to have two little dinky teams, you can probably carry that yourself. Are you going to scale this? Oh, we're going to take this big time. Oh, I need investors. You're going to need to basically have unlimited access. And what does that mean? You're going to need a smart business draws on other people's resources, not your own. A smart business. There is no accountant, there is no banker, there is no business professor on this planet who's going to tell you spend all your own money on a business. That's stupid. That's basic financial illiteracy. You scale up a business by leveraging other people's capital. And you keep your cash in your pocket to the extent that you can, because a business that is cash poor is a business that cannot survive. For those of you who don't understand basic economics, basic entrepreneurship, and I'm not being condescending right now, I'm just saying, if you never had this explained to you, you've never been to a business school, you haven't had a CPA, you haven't had a business, you haven't had a banker to explain these things, folks, if you're going to start a business, you can start a laundromat with some money that you saved up for 2 or 3 years. I mean, let's get to reality here. I know this is what I'm talking about. Ice Cube is not trying to open a laundromat. He's not trying to open some corner used car lot. You talking about CBS, you talking about televised, you talking about having sponsors, you talking about in sizable arenas. Okay, you can't do that with your laundromat money. Yeah, you can open a laundromat for $100,000. You can open a McDonald's for $2 million. You cannot start a sports league for $2 million. That's not going to happen. It's not going to happen. So we're not talking about starting, a coin-operated laundromat. And if you're going to scale up what you're doing, then you got to be able to leverage capital from other people. Ice Cube might have $20 million in the bank. He would be a damn fool if he sits up and bets it all on the big three. No, if he's got $20 million in the bank, you take, and if he wants to start the league and be like, okay, we want to get $10 million. Cube goes and takes $2 million and then goes and borrows the rest. He puts up $2 million as collateral and borrows the rest. If he's got a partner in the business or another couple of investors, they can put together $10 million. Now they can go leverage $50 million. Did y'all get that? If he has investors or whatever, okay, we'll all put this in. We're going to put in $10 million. Then we're going to go to the bank and we're going to get an investment bank to give us 50 or leverage $50 million. And hey, I'm Ice Cube. I'm internationally known. I'm an icon. So between the money and the personality, we got a different idea. People readily recognize me. So this ain't starting from nowhere. This is starting from somewhere. A banker sits down. Okay, I'm looking at what. All right. This looks like something we want to get in on. This looks like something we want to get in on. Next thing you know, you got $50 million in the bank and your $20 million is still sitting in your pot. Well, $18 million is sitting in your pocket. And now as you move forward, you can scale up the business without going into your life savings and becoming cash poor. Now what you do is you pay the bank back. You pay your investors back. You keep your hard-earned life savings in your pocket. And you just pay the rest of these people back as you go along. And that's how rich people stay rich. This is not buying a used car with your IRS tax return. Not denigrating. I'm saying this is why when we talk about financial literacy, we have to make this understand, hey, you don't treat scaling up a business, purchasing things to scale up a business, the way that you would buying that 1999 Toyota Corolla you got. This is not the same thing. These are two separate types of expenditures. Yes, both of them require sending out money, but these are two totally separate things. You're not dealing with just a whole lot more money. You're dealing with an enterprise. And when you start getting into numbers like that, you don't throw your life savings into it. You don't do that. So this is basic. Any of you who have a banker, a lawyer, a CPA, these folks, that's the first thing they would tell you. Don't do that. You have this ideal scenario in your head about how things are going to work out. And your ideal scenario is going to be the best case scenario. Okay, but life is what happens while you're making plans. If things don't go smoothly, you will start having to run through your own money very quickly. And then next thing you know, 20 years, 25 years of work will get liquidated in 1 or 2 years. Whereas if you borrowed the money from other folk at a reasonable interest rate, you have access to the capital now, you can scale up as you need to move, and you just pay them back over the course of the next 5 or 10 years. And that's it. You get all the benefits and you've mitigated as much of the liability as you can. That's business. And that's smart business. And every large business on the planet operates this way. That's why when the Great Recession happened back in 2008, what was it that happened? Everybody's credit froze around the world. Those Bear Stearns, when they went down, and when Bear Stearns was the first one that went down, and Lehman Brothers, next thing you know, everybody's credit started freezing at the investment level. And next thing you know, that was about to be the end of the damn world financially. Why? Because all of them operate borrowing money. AT&T borrows money. When you see them go purchase another business, they don't go in their bank account. They go to Goldman Sachs. They go to Merrill Lynch. They go to Chase. They go and get a line of credit. The biggest corporation on the planet do that. They don't spend their own money. They go get some investors. They go borrow some money. And we'll pay you back later. But there's a bigger issue here, and there's a bigger story, and that's what I want to get into here about the big three. I want to get into this about the big three because of everything you've seen here so far. Here's the thing I want you to see most. He's taking this thing to new heights with the historic $10 million deal. Now, I want you to understand something. There's a whole bunch of folks in so-called professional sports who would not snort at $10 million. They'd be like, huh? Now, by the way, in the chat room, Cornell talking about, that's it? Okay. And I just want you all to understand, this is a teaching moment. That attitude right there, that lack of perspective right there, that's the reason why black business doesn't know how to expand or scale up. $10 million is huge. People, that's built from the ground up. That's huge. In just 6 years. That's huge. That type of valuation in just 6 years. And I'm not saying it's just 6 years. 6 years is a good amount of time because what that shows is you are economically viable. It would be different if somebody was trying to throw $10 million back to him in 2017 if it starts throwing it in 2018. It's 6 years later, which means that you think that means slow. That's what you think it means. You think that 6 years means slow. That's not the way that a banker or an investor looks at it. 6 years means, oh, you have consistency. You are consistent. You've not been just keeping your head above water for 6 years. You have been viable now for over half a decade. You are consistent. Well, let's take a look under the hood and see what you got going on. Oh, you got to deal with CBS. You got to deal with some arenas here. Okay. You got some real players. Okay. Well, and 6 years. Well, man, this isn't really a gamble anymore. If somebody throws some real money into this, we can start doing what large corporations always look to do and investors always look to do, which is 100x. 100 times what you're doing. But it first has to start with the first 10 times, the first 10x what you're doing. Okay, let's try this a different way. For the slow bus kids or whatever, or for the NBA heads, let me keep my snark to a minimum tonight. It's very, very difficult here, but let me keep my snark to a minimum. Do you all remember the LA Clippers and Donald Sterling? Do you all remember that? Do you all remember what a bellwether moment that was? When Donald Sterling sold the Clippers. Do you all remember that? That was a bellwether moment for a reason. That was a bellwether moment in sports, but particularly basketball, for a reason. And I told you all what it was about then. The LA Clippers were not some fantastic, phenomenal team. The LA Clippers were not at the top of the league. The LA Clippers were the very definite, I don't know what they're doing now, but they were the very definition. Well, I haven't heard anything, so they probably still are. The very definition of a mediocre team. Nothing fantastic, nothing phenomenal about the LA Clippers. And yet, when that team came up for sale, Steve Ballmer, who succeeded Bill Gates running Microsoft, he wanted to buy a team before then. They wouldn't let him. When the Clippers became available, he went to the NBA and was like, look, I'm just going to hand you a check. I'm just going to hand you this check right here. And you write down the amount that you think the team is worth, and I'll sign it. How about that deal? Yeah. Instead of me making you an offer, how about I just give you a blank check? You just write in the number that you think is fair, and I'll go along with it. No. Don't worry about talking to me. Just write down whatever figure you think is a fair number, and I'll take it. Folks, effectively, that's what happened. Everybody knew when he came up the second time, it's like, oh, he's bidding the rest of y'all on the damn table. He ain't gonna have it. He's not gonna have it. And what I'm saying is, so a mid-team, a mediocre team like the Clippers sold for $2 billion. $2 billion. Do you understand? And I covered this at the time here on the Black Channel. I covered this at the time when it happened. I said, do you all understand what that's going to do to the value of all the other teams? Because if the Clippers are worth $2 billion and somebody actually paid it, then what does that make the Lakers worth? What does that make the Bulls worth? What does that make the Nets worth? What does that make the Mavericks worth? If the Clippers are worth $2 billion, what's that make the rest of them worth? So that's why they were so eager to close that deal, because by showing that somebody really thought that the Clippers were worth $2 billion, what does that do to the value of the league and all the other teams? Folks, this dovetails off what I was saying about the NCAA. This is not hypothetical. When we talking real cash dollars, somebody ponied up over $2 billion real cash dollars to buy the LA Clippers. Now, when you know that's real money, then when you see, let me bring you over here, because what I'm saying is that y'all need to understand when you're dealing with a microcosm. Look it up. You need to understand when you're dealing with something that's scaled down. And as black folk, because we've been dealing with all these people who have stolen wealth from us and profited so enormously from it, we look at them and then we say, if we ain't doing what they're doing, that what we have has no value. And that's a damn lie. What Ice Cube and them got has immense value. Immense value. Yes, it is scaled down proportionally, but if you own it and you can clearly see a pathway of scaling it up, it's got tremendous value. You can't scale up a damn thing in the NBA. You're just getting around to breaking the monopoly of the NCAA. Folks, that's what I'm talking about. What I'm saying is that, yes, it's a damn century later, and it is a shame, but we live in a system of white supremacy. But you're where you were with the Negro Leagues. What I'm saying is you are where you were with the Negro Leagues, and you're telling yourself, well, that was when baseball was getting started and basketball was getting started. What I'm saying is, okay, here's a new innovative idea on that. So everybody has a proper perspective when we're talking about a century ago. I'll leave you a century later. And this is what I mean is that folks have these really fallacious, idealistic ideas that really aren't even rooted in actual tangible economics or reality. You're starting an enterprise. You're starting a viable enterprise. And what I'm saying is that if somebody has literally stepped up and said, I'll pay $10 million to become a part of your enterprise. And then you say, by the way, and we got 3 other teams. Those 3 other teams might sell for $10 million a piece. Then again, they might go for more. Did you get that one? Yeah, the next 3 teams. Remember, he said we expect to sell 3 more teams before the year is over. Okay, the first one sold for $10 million. The next ones may sell for even more. Follow me, follow me, follow me, follow me. Okay, now you realize that's $40 million of investment being put in 1 calendar year. $40 million. Remember what I told you about that before? Well, if you had $10 million, you might be able to leverage that with the banks for 4 or 5 times that amount. Now, if you've got $40 million that you can show people, hey, folks are spending real money. They spending $40, $50 million. Well, now we're talking about an enterprise that's worth $100, $200, $300 million. If you go by a 4 to 5x ratio, you go for a 4 to 5x multiple. Well, now the enterprise. Oh, well, if outside people, not Ice Cube, if outside people are willing to spend $40 or $50 million, well, then now it looks like this enterprise may be worth somewhere in the neighborhood of $200 to $300 million. Well, that's a whole new ball game there, literally. That's a whole new ball game. Now that I've explained that to you all, now that I've explained it to you in the context of the Clippers, because the Clippers basketball team is technically worth more than that today, but they've also tremendously increased the value of the entire league, the entire NBA. But that's why in the case of Cube, I didn't use the word league. I used the word enterprise. That was why I used the word enterprise. So when I describe the NBA as an enterprise, how much is the NBA as an enterprise worth? Well, it's worth more ever since Steve Ballmer was willing to pony up over $2 billion for a mediocre team. If a mediocre team was worth $2 billion a decade ago, what the hell is the league now worth? And what I'm saying is, okay, well, you can't sit here and poo-poo this. Ice Cube, if you don't understand what you're really looking at, he is showing that this enterprise has value to people outside of himself. And you know it's got to be legit because black folk can't put together no scam like that. Everybody's trying to figure out how to knock it down. So you know it's got to be legit. And the value is actually there. And now you got other folks saying, I'll take a piece of that action. Now they see things differently. And I just explained to you that, by the way, do you understand what that 10 million actually means? That 10 million doesn't mean 10 million. I just explained to you how that 10 million actually is indicative of, by my estimates, somewhere in the neighborhood of 200 or 300 million. And that's just 2024. Damn! What kind of numbers will we be discussing in 2026? Yeah, I know, with TV deals, merchandising, so on and so forth. By the way, that's just 2024. What type of numbers will we be discussing in 2026? Now let me explain to you a pathway to get there. Y'all ain't hearing me. The good thing about having Ice Cube is, remember what happened with Deion Sanders going to Colorado State. Remember what happened to him. You had celebrities showing up and every damn thing else. If the big three, and I know they've already had that to an extent, but what I'm talking about is, imagine your up and coming rappers, your up and coming singers, the folks who might not be able to get into some of these other folks. What I'm saying is that the big three, because of its smaller scale, it is actually a more intimate environment, which means more community. So you see Kendrick Lamar, and remember, I was talking about Kendrick Lamar back when he was, before he even had a record deal, remember? I was talking about him then when there were two white kids helping him to get his name out there. For those of you who don't remember, the Black Channel was talking about Kendrick Lamar before he even hit it big. But that was because when you form a smaller fan base, these are people who are emotionally invested in you. They're emotionally invested in the product. Case in point, Tesla. We talk about the Tesla fanboys. We clown the Tesla fanboys, but they felt they were different. They didn't have an internal combustion engine. Their car was immediately distinguishable, even if it looked a little weird. It ran differently. But the real thing was they felt they were part of a community. They were part of something that was smaller. It wasn't something given over to the big corporations. Yes, in other words, it was like what rap was back in the 80s. It was like what hip hop was back in the 80s. We were small. We were underground. We were a family. We all had an equal love of this. Everybody who walked through the door loved this. They had their heart in this. Maybe you didn't have as much talent as some other people, but you had more heart to that. It only went downhill when the big corporations showed up, and the next thing you know, they diluted it and bastardized it and raped it, which is what they do. But when you started from the beginning, folks loved it because here's the other thing right here. It was different. It was different. So everybody got their damn NBA stuff. Okay, the NBA is decades old. Folks are looking for the new. People are looking for the new. They're looking for the next big thing. So you're talking about the big three. That's the next big thing. If you want to be different, because right now you don't have an alternative. It's NBA or nothing. And you can choose a team in the NBA, but you can't choose anything outside the NBA. Now you've actually got a viable alternative that you can rally around. And it's not whack and it's not stupid. And you can get together with other folk and you can start to form this cult following. A quality product with a cult following. Think about that for a few moments. Think about back in the day when you had your favorite indie rock band. Bands like Incubus and Creed. I remember when Creed did a performance, I think, here in Shreveport. They got paid like $1,500, $2,000. And then their album Human Clay went multi-platinum. And after that, you got to pay $250,000. At least that was back then. But you think about how your favorite indie bands, your favorite indie rappers, Nipsey Hussle. Think about how you felt about them when you were like, man, I'm so glad that they haven't gotten swallowed up by the big corporate machine. They're talented, they got good music, and they haven't been co-opted by the big corporate machine. And you all loved it because you felt like, man, take a look at us. We're a community here. We're not part of that big sucker ass crowd over there at the Grammys and now the BET Awards swallowed up by the big machine. And you felt proud to be a part of that because you knew you weren't going along with the damn lemmings. You knew you had something quality and you valued it and you treasured it and you were proud of the smaller numbers. Oh, folks, 720 degrees of analysis you receive absolutely nowhere else because I had to bring you this point. You were proud of those smaller numbers because you saw yourselves as an exclusive product. You were not trying to appeal to the masses. You were happy to have the value you did because you said our lower numbers actually represent higher quality. We are an elite. You got your big name over the corporations. That's not the elite. We're the elite over here. When you say our name, it means something. There's nothing mediocre over here. We're smaller, but just like your Prada and your Louis Vuitton, we're a more exclusive product. And you were proud to have a more exclusive product. That is value. That is what value means. You value this more than you do the NBA, and because it's a more exclusive product, Now you have the ability here to sell tickets for equal amounts or more. Think about that for a few moments. As the prestige of the big three grows, the amounts you charge to get into these smaller places will grow as well. You won't even need to have the Staples Center or something like that. You can keep your smaller venues and continue to have profits grow up because the price that people will pay to show up in person will increase. And that's what you want. Ideally, that's what you want, people. That's the way Ferrari works. That's the way Lamborghini works. That's the way that, off the top of the head, Birkin, I remember it's a B. That's the way they work. They're not looking for the smallest paying people. They're looking for the most highest paying people. But you got to start from here. As the value goes up, it goes up. And I just explained to you how having a smaller company that is more active, more motivated, more driven, all the things the NBA does not have to do. Cube and them are more aggressive. Everybody here is hungry. Everyone sees what this can be. With the NBA, you've already seen what it's going to become. NBA is never going to get no bigger than it is right now. NFL, hang it up trying to go overseas. You're never going to get any bigger than you are right now. You're already universal. Okay, Big Three is the only viable sports franchise, really, that has the ability to grow. The Big Three is do y'all understand this? The Big Three is the only one that actually has the ability to grow. The NFL ain't going to grow. They're not even discussing expansion teams anymore. NFL has maximized. They've saturated the market. They're trying to figure out how to kick off NFL Mexico and NFL Europe. They're talking about NFL UK or whatever. They've been trying the NFL Europe thing now for 20 years, people. That's not new. That's not new. They're trying to make y'all think it's new. No, it's not. My NFL heads remember from the 90s. They've been trying to kick off this NFL Europe thing now for decades. Not years, decades. And the NBA is trying it too now. Dude, it's not going to work. You've gotten as big as you're going to get. The Big Three has room to grow domestically. Yes, mind-blowing to some of y'all. By the way, you hadn't considered that. The Big Three is the only one that actually has the potential and the capacity to actually grow. It can grow domestically. They actually have the ability to do that. The NBA doesn't. It's maxed out. If you're going to invest in basketball today, you need to go find something else to invest in, not the NBA. I'm not even downing the NBA right now. I'm just talking numbers. And my NBA heads know I'm telling the truth. I'm just talking numbers right now. I don't care if you're an NBA fan or not. We're just discussing numbers. The NBA is maxed out as growth. It's maxed out as growth. That's it. So I'm telling you what the positives are for Cube, and this is what the new investors are thinking about. The new investors, just understand, I'm talking this over with you all right now. Those of you who've been in banking or investment banking, you already know this. Those of you who've been to business school, you already know this if you analyze sports. And you know, I'm not a big sports person, but I'm like, by the way, I figured this out. Well, if I figured this out, don't you know all these wannabe new investors figured this out? Don't you know all these? They didn't pony up $10 million because, whoa, I hope the Black Channel explains it. They already know what I'm talking about. They're like, hey, the NBA is as big as it's going to get. This thing has the ability to grow. Let me tell you, if the Big Three only gets 25% the size of the NBA, and I'm talking about size in value, do you realize how historic that is? If they quote, only get to be a quarter of the size of the NBA, do you realize how gigantic that will be? Do you realize how enormous that will be? If they just, quote, just become 25% their size. And I'm pointing that out for a reason. I'm pointing it out for a reason because we haven't had proper education, and because of that, we have not been able to get folks to sit up here and give us a proper estimation and perspective on where we are and what winning actually is. Now, I will sit up here and I will concede to you that I have done my fair share of criticizing the entertainment industry. I've done my fair share of that and will continue to do so. By the way, and will continue to do so.
And deal with it, nigga.
But I want us to be clear on something here. Our power within the economy, we do have that. The real thing is about, do you understand you have it and do you leverage it? That's the real issue. Do you actually understand you have it and do you actually leverage it? And we've had an issue with having a willingness to leverage the value that's there. This whole thing about the NCAA is, hey, you got your sons in college, but have you taught them to leverage their value? Well, no, because in college, they talk about paying $100,000. I'm like, man, look here. You got to start somewhere. All these professional sports leagues started somewhere. None of them started at billions of dollars. All of them started somewhere. And what I'm saying is that folks have conditioned us to believe that simply because our numbers may be quote unquote smaller, that your numbers are irrelevant. And that is a lie. It is better to have $10 million that you own than $100 million that you don't. Now, please don't get it twisted about what I just said. I didn't say you shouldn't go pursue a $100 million check. I didn't say that. But I want you to understand value. It is better to have $10 million that you generated yourself and that you own than to have $100 million distributed to you from somebody else that they can cut off anytime they choose. I didn't say don't go get that $100 million bag. I didn't say that. What I'm saying is you better bring that $100 million bag back over here and invest it in something you own. Because you don't own that $100 million that they just gave you. They own it. And if they have the ability to cut it off anytime they want to, you don't own it. They do. Go get the bag, but understand that bag needs to be leveraged. That's the whole point. I'm not mad at a single person anywhere. NBA, NFL, rap music, Hollywood, nothing. I want all the, I've always said this forever. Tyler Perry, you name it, get your money. Grab the bags like a bank robbery, run, get your money. But do not deceive yourself into thinking, okay, get the money and go buy a Range Rover, get the money and go buy a mansion, get the money and go buy 15,000 pairs of shoes. Whoa, whoa, whoa. Dude, I'm so glad you got that, but you've lost perspective. We don't see money like that. If you got $100 million, how'd you get it? Well, I signed this contract over with these people. Okay, then it's not yours. You cannot think of it as yours because they gave it to you. It is your money as you have earned it, and it's your property. Absolutely. But just understand the source of the wealth isn't yours. You need to take that $100 million and make sure that you now use it to lock down the source of the wealth. Folks, it's cool. It's not a problem. LeBron, if the Lakers are going to pay you $300 million, go get your money. Don't let nobody talk you out of that. If the Lakers are going to pay LeBron $300 million, go get your bag. I'll drive you to the Staples Center to make sure you get there. Get your bag. Go do that. And then when you leave, you go hand that bag to your bank. And when you get back to wherever you live in California, okay, that bag needs to go invested somewhere else with something that you own. That NBA league is what they own. The Lakers is what he owns, is what the team owns. That check you got, go get it and go put it into something that you will own. Now we're building an economy. Now you're building one. So that it doesn't matter what happens in that basketball league. I know you hear $100 million and you don't think part-time job. You got to think of it that way. It doesn't matter what happens in that basketball league. You done took the money and put it into something that is absolutely impervious. Look it up. Something that is not vulnerable to anything that happens in that league. So just in case you take a unpopular opinion, for example, who might be the real Jews, just in case you take an unpopular opinion and somebody either wishes to twist your words or repeat them accurately and folks get offended, you ain't sitting up here talking about, okay, it's the end of the damn world if the league don't go right. No, because you like, they own that, but I own this over here. So I'm not dependent on the league, money I don't own. I'm dependent on me, money I do own. Now, I took that bag from the league and I got some of my own over here. So the league better back the hell down because, we good over here. We good over here. We good over here. That's the issue I want you to remember. The entertainment industry works for us when we treat it like we own it. It works for us when we treat it like we own it. There's been the whole issue about it is getting folks to treat it like they own it and understanding you're starting an enterprise. Well, an enterprise is supposed to grow. An enterprise is supposed to scale up. An enterprise is supposed to increase. And what I'm saying is that I've told you all now for over a decade, black folk, because of not being properly trained and taught, don't know what winning looks like. So when you've got folks cornered off into being your worker class and your labor class, they don't know what winning looks like. They don't know what it looks like when they're winning. And we sit up here and let folks sit up here and deceive you into thinking that because something is not on the scale of some of this great big huge stuff you might see somewhere else, that becomes a problem. And I'm telling you, no, it's not. Know what winning looks like. Shout out to Tariq for microphone check. That's what winning looks like. When you're able to sit down and form your own narrative. You don't have to be Paramount. You don't have to be Warner Brothers. You just have to be competent and consistent. And from there, things grow. As a matter of fact, I would rather have businesses that are influential versus outrageously profitable, because that's how folks weaponize things. But you don't sit up here and let folks fool you into believing that because you didn't have a $100 million opening weekend, that what you are building or what you are doing is irrelevant. That's the issue. You let folks deceive you into thinking that, if you're not doing what they're doing, that what you have is worthless. Folks, let me explain something to you. There is always somebody bigger than you. I don't care how successful you think you are. There is always somebody bigger than you. And we get caught up in this ego thing. So we start sitting up here ego stroking and ego lifting and ego chasing. I ain't as big a damn what I'm doing. Hey, if you ain't as big a damn what you're doing ain't worth it. And what I'm saying is I want you to understand there's a difference between needing to be huge and being successful. And our whole thing is being successful. Folks, understand something. there's a big thing I want you to understand and realize about that. You know, when you go to Chinatown, they don't sit up here and do that. When you go to Chinatown, they don't do that. They don't get caught up in chasing people about having the quote unquote biggest enterprise. They don't do that. When you got black men got the ability to sell things to non-black men and they paying millions of dollars for it here, and you understand the need for keeping that, that's value. That's value. That's value. And you've been deceived into sitting up here looking at the NBA and them talking about and not knowing how to grow a business or an enterprise. And that, well, if we ain't starting off from $100 million on day one, it's not worth anything. There's where our problem comes from. We've been looking at everybody else and not focusing on, okay, we're in a situation where we have to build this thing. That's what we have right there, is a lack of perspective. You're looking at what everybody else has done and everybody else has built, even if they stole it from us, and then saying, okay, we got to start there. No, you don't. You need to start where you are. And you need to understand that you're going to have to spend the time to grow it. Because here's the big issue. Can we just be honest for a moment? You all know what the big issue is? Let me just remind y'all. Folks, the big issue is that everybody's already at the Bentley dealership. That's the problem. The reason why when we say we need to build something and have patience and water it and cultivate it, the reason it really don't work is because even when people have something viable, everybody wants to make a beeline for the Bentley dealership. Everybody wants to be able to style and profile and to show, see, I made it. They want to do that from day one. That ego starvation thing that Dr. John Henry Clark talked about. So if we ain't ready to go, man, how we gonna get to the Bentley dealership here and all you made was $100,000? How we gonna get there? Well, okay, we're building this thing and cultivating and we're gonna get to $1 million and $2 million. Man, this ain't worth nothing here. You ain't doing nothing. So you see, we never get to the Bentley dealership because if this thing don't happen immediately, your will and your integrity is so hollow and weak, you don't have patience to water this thing and cultivate it and see to it growing and having the persistence. You don't have that. You're looking at all the folks who got one, and then you're not saying, okay, I got to put in the work to go get one. This is, where my Bentley at? I should be standing next to them. And so if you're not able to stand next to them on day one, man, damn all this right here. Man. I ain't trying to do all this. Man, this ain't going nowhere. And it becomes that. So it becomes, if y'all want to know why it is that it's usually so easy to talk black people out of something of value and everybody else picks it up for a song, that's the reason why. Because as a people, that's what occurs. That's what occurs to us, and we get distracted. We get distracted. Instead of you focusing on the enterprise and saying, hey, my job every day is to turn $1 into $2. That's my job every day. Instead, you're focused on, and when I go buy my mansion, well, I look in the bank, oh, this you can't get no mansion out of this right here. This ain't going nowhere. How long you been at it? 3 days? Man, I've been out here just for 2 years, man. When we gonna go get this G-Wagon? I've been there for 2 years. Where my G-Wagon? I need my G-Wagon. Yeah. And these other folks, now, follow me here because I got to remind you here. Some of you, let me be brutally honest with you for a moment here. Some of y'all, you got that mama's boy thing going on here. I'm talking to the fellas right now, the ladies. I'm not leaving you out of this, but the fellas, some of y'all got that little mama's boy hater gene thing there, the little spoiled mama's boy thing, where you throwing tantrums and you want it all now, and I want it right now. I want it right now. Okay, just understand something. The people that you are envious of who own these institutions, they play the long game. Did you get that? The folks that you are envious of, the people that you say you want to be like, and the folks you want to sit up here and say you're competing against, by the way, they play the long game. Everything for them is 10, 20, 30 years of investing, 30 years of patience, 30 years of cultivation. You see, the one-hit wonders are the artists. The artist who wants to be seen and wants to be famous and wants to have an Instagram following. That's the one-hit wonder. You notice the companies they work for, they ain't the one-hit wonder. They're not the one-hit wonder. Not them. So the folks that you talk about here, the folks that you say you want to emulate, by the way, they don't play that short-term thinking. Everything with them is patience. Everything with them is cultivation. Everything with them is that. They cultivate everything. They wait. And you are deceived because they have multiple investments, and you think when you see one take off, all you're counting, see, look at them right there. Last year, they wasn't doing nothing. This year, they were $1 billion. No, they're not. That's the cultivation of 10 years of work. You're sitting over there because we've been deprived, but also because you haven't been taught how it properly works, and you've been around people who don't know how it properly works. Now you're sitting up here and man, where'd you head at right now? And instead of having a work ethic, you have an observation and a dream ethic. So you become very, very adept at watching and dreaming, and not a whole lot else beyond that. See, when you've been sat down and taught, okay, if you're going to make $1 here, here's the work that's got to go into it. That's the change. There's our value. That is the difference. That is why sports actually is real black empowerment. It actually is. Even at the player level, it is black empowerment. When it is not squandered, it is. It is. Our job is to recognize that. I have never advocated that we needed to abolish the NBA or the NFL. I've said that we're supposed to be having ownership in it. I've never advocated for the abolition of it. But you should have ownership in it. If you're doing all the work, you should be getting all the benefits. You got owners making billions, and you're sitting up here doing backflips because he chipped you off a few million. And you have to pay hella taxes all over the damn place. Y'all, I was watching this video the other day here on YouTube with Cam Newton. If you saw this video on Cam Newton, he was being interviewed and he was talking about how taxes work. And he was talking about, he said when you're in the NFL, he said you have to pay a whole bunch of taxes. He also said, do you know that we have to pay taxes in every city that we play in? Now, I'm going to tell y'all right now, I didn't know that. I wasn't aware of that. He said they don't have to just pay federal taxes or state taxes. They have to pay taxes in every city that they play in. So Cam might live, I don't know where he lives. He might live in Florida. But if he plays in Michigan, he gotta pay taxes. And if he plays a game in California, well, he gotta pay taxes in California. He gotta pay taxes in California. So I didn't know that. I'll just be honest with y'all right now. I didn't know that was a thing. Well, that's a thing. That's a thing. So when you start taking that into account, hell yeah, folks, they're not getting nearly as much as you think they are. That's what Cam was trying to say. Hey, we actually don't get as much as y'all might think we do. When you start deducting federal taxes, state taxes, city taxes, a tax in every city tax, so when I see Cube making moves like this, I'm like, by the way, do you realize what this really means? Most people don't. Glad we had an opportunity to explain that to you here tonight. So when you see what we do, it hits a little different. When you see what we do, it hits a little different. So when you see us doing what we do out here, recognize what it really is. Folks are going to sit up here and tell you what it isn't, trying to compare you to other folks there as opposed to comparing it to real, actual, concrete progress. Now, you don't want your progress stymied. You certainly don't want that. And you certainly don't want to become stagnant. You certainly don't want that. But don't let somebody tell you that, well, your zeros ain't big enough on there. If you're moving forward, and I'm talking about really moving forward, not you sitting up here ego lying about moving forward and you're really not. If you're actually moving forward, that's where you want to be. And I'm just showing y'all right now, 6 years later, I think I'm almost ready to say it. I'm not ready to say it just yet. I'm almost there. But I'm telling you, the signs look very promising at this point. But I'm almost there to say that the train's getting ready to leave the station. If folks thought that this was going to become a thing and was going to be really viable, the train's getting ready to leave the station. I am willing to say that I think the train's just about ready to leave the station in more ways and in more places than one, from the NCAA to the NBA, from college sports to the major leagues. Yeah, sports is real black empowerment. When we utilize it the correct way, it is. It is. Singing and entertainment, that is real black empowerment. It is. When it's utilized correctly, it definitely is. I want y'all to know that. Michael Jackson was out there singing, dancing, and everything else. It was all fun and games till he bought that Beatles catalog. Damn! Yeah, it was all fun and games right up until he did that. And the white media never forgave him, and they carried a vendetta against him literally beyond the grave. Literally, they have carried a vendetta against Michael Joseph Jackson beyond the grave. And we all know what it was and continues to be. How dare you, number one, outsell Elvis Presley? Number two, marry his daughter. Now you're just rubbing our faces in it. And number three, we bought the Beatles catalog? This nigga is out of control. And they never forgave him for that. And what I'm telling you is the only element that is missing there is a concentration on the ownership part. It's not about what they get. It's not about what they do. It is black empowerment. I have never sat up here and criticized them for making their money. I like to see less coonery. I would certainly like to see less of that. But folks, if you're going to be totally honest about it, it actually is. It actually is. I'm not being hyperbolic. I mean that. I want us to stop selling it short. Keep a proper perspective on it. I want us to stop selling it short. A black person simply getting a paycheck, that's not black empowerment. But is sports real black empowerment? It definitely is when you use it. It certainly is when you use it. Music certainly is when we use it. Acting certainly is when we use it. All these things certainly are when we use it. Social media definitely is when we use it. When we use it, it is. And that's what I want us to be on going forward. That when we have these things, it is when we use it. The other thing here is, as far as the NCAA is concerned, as you all know, I've been following that now for decades. This has been a crusade that I've been on in particular. And wouldn't you know it, in the middle of me working on my documentary film 8 a.m., discussing this very thing, that's when this starts to happen. But you know what? Like I say, I mean, we're always ahead of the times on that. We've always been ahead of it. And we're going to continue to be ahead of this. Speaking of which, there, in that regard, I've been getting folks who have been flooding me about this. Devin, looking at you, Devin Haley, and some of y'all other folks. I'm going to call her out because she went public, but looking at you, Devin. They've been asking about 8 a.m. and whatnot. We had some issues there on Indiegogo for the folks there. You know, I emailed you about that. We're getting ready to go ahead and start that again. So I'm planning to start it again around Juneteenth. I'm planning to start that again here around Juneteenth. We're going to have something special involved for this. We're going to have something special involved for this. So keep your eyes and your ears open. Some of you are not going to really believe what you're going to see, but we're going to have something special involved for this. So when we start 8 a.m. up here again, and like I say, I'm planning on doing this here for Juneteenth. You're going to see us doing this around Juneteenth time. Be ready. But just, you got your fair warning right now. I'm planning on doing something special. I'll have some more details about this as we get there. For all of the people who got emailed about this, you already know what you need to do. So for all of you who got emailed about it, I'm not going to sit up here and put it out here on YouTube. As far as starting up the crowdfunding again, for those of you who already got emailed about it, you already know what you need to do in that regard. So just go ahead and do that. You'll be fine. We'll take care of that there. You'll be hearing from me. Just go ahead and do that. For everybody else, get ready for, as we say in Louisiana, some lagniappe, a little something extra. We're going to go ahead and take a very brief commercial, non-commercial break. Before we do, I want to send a shout out here to my man, Mr. Richburg, to Walter, to Gary, and to everybody else here who's contributed to support tonight's program on PayPal, Venmo. In the super chat there, we got some new channel members, Mesca Dub 3000, John Scott, and everybody else there. We appreciate that as well. We're going to take a very brief commercial, non-commercial break. When we come back, a brief word about reparations and politics. Some of you got hoodwinked. We never did. This is the Black Channel.
Hello, my name is Steve Burgess, and I'm the author of this book, Guidelines for the Successful Student, a closer look at parenting your school-aged child. In this book, I've explained the role of the parent and the student in addition to what accommodations, procedures, rewards and consequences and expectations that need to be in place to ensure student success from primary to high school. This book is available on Amazon.com. For more information, please visit my link tree at Easy One-on-One, and to access my latest podcast, A Teaching Moment with Mr. B. Thank you all for listening.
A white supremacist assassin seeks revenge. Corrupt FBI agents with evil intentions. Dangerous black collaborators dedicated to treason. Occam Jeffers must defeat them all and somehow survive. One misstep and he's a dead man. Join Occam Jeffers as he looks the devil in his blue eyes and tells him, Black first. A sequel to the underground hit War of the Heart, Spirit of 1811 Publishing presents God Love Us, on sale at Amazon. Pre-order and save today. Visit spiritofo1811publishing.com and show your love.
Order yours today to experience all the benefits of Ash Kickin' Body Butter. With skin so smooth and soft, you'll thank us for it. Shop Ash Kickin' online. That's ASHKICKIN.com.
Hi, this is Brenda Starr, creator of Poetry with a Purpose and author of the book Pressed But Not Crushed. Pressed But Not Crushed is an anthology of political poems that address current and historical issues in American descendants of slave population and African American population. The book describes slavery and its residuals, Jim Crow segregation, social depredation, and other relevant issues to American descendants of slaves and African Americans, including the current political climate that does not address our issues.
This is the Black Channel. I am your host, your brother, your humble servant, the Black Authority. Very glad to be with you all here this evening. I want to talk about a little bit about some reparations news here in just a moment, but before I do that, I want to take a moment here to thank everyone. I haven't had an opportunity to do this. Y'all got to understand something here. We are the grassroots. A lot of folks, that were here a decade ago, they're not here anymore. For those of you who've been walking this road with me now a decade and a half, a lot of them folks that fell off. And you know what? It's good that they did. Oh yeah, one more thing. It's good that they did. In a perfect reality, in a perfect universe, we would not be here having to discuss the evils of white supremacy. We would not have to be here on a constant campaign against it in a perfect universe, but we don't live in one. And in the one that we are in, we've had to dedicate ourselves to that so that we can liberate ourselves so that the next generations can actually flourish and achieve their complete potential, not being enslaved and encumbered by other people, benefiting them and not yourself. And to have that kind of persistence and that kind of long suffering and that type of commitment, that's not easy. So I want to send a thanks to all of you right now. I want to take this as an opportunity to talk about this because this is our bread and butter. We're the ones who started this. We took what other people considered to be a dry subject, Black entrepreneurship, Black economics. People took that to be this really dry thing. Man, you ain't never going to get Black folks to be interested in that. Ironically enough, Black enterprise was against it. And we didn't let that stop us. I didn't let the fact that I wasn't as known as Black enterprise, as storied as Black enterprise, or as big as Black enterprise stop me from doing the best I could do. Stop me from putting my effort out there. I didn't let that happen. But more importantly, I want to say that all of you didn't let that happen either. I didn't do this by myself. I didn't do this by myself. I ain't make it happen by myself. None of that. None of that. Everybody here, we talk about the big three and it's a smaller thing, but the great thing about it is Cube has got a concentrated group of true believers now. The folks who show up at the NBA, they might not even care that a game is happening. If they show up at the big three, it's been too damn hard to get this thing started. What's the reward you get for saying I went to a big three game? In other words, it's filled with true believers. And that is the element that has been missing. is when you've got true believers, not people who are there with ulterior motives, not people who are there to see what they can steal, not people who are there on a take, not people who are there lying, folks who actually really do in their heart of hearts, they really are committed to this and they really do believe this. That's how you move mountains. Being somebody who truly believes these things. And with our efforts here, folks, they were doubting it. The folks who were impatient, the folks who were hangers on, the people who were sitting up here just looking for a bandwagon to jump on. It's like, hey, nigga, everybody pulls their weight here. There is no wagon to jump on. Everybody got to pull their weight. You can't jump on the bandwagon because there is no wagon to jump on. You got to be pulling. Now, that was a hard sell. Because in reality, are these folks looking to change things, or are they looking for somebody to build something and they just get to step in and step into the benefits? And we're saying, no, you're building this from the ground up. You build it from the ground up, and that's a hard sell for some folks. That's a hard sell. But we've kept at it and we've all been consistent about it. And now you're seeing how things are changing over the course of a decade and a half. This didn't happen overnight. Your kids and everybody's going to remember this happening overnight. But you're going to have to come back one day and tell them, son, think about this for a few moments. Those of you who have children in middle school, they will never know a time that they were not eligible to be paid for their work as a football player in college. Do you realize that? We are the last generation that will have a memory of a time that you didn't get paid for your work as a college athlete. We're the last one. Do you understand what that really means? They didn't explain this to you in the article there that I read. They didn't explain this in the news story, but I'm trying to give you a legacy perspective of this. Do you understand the legacy perspective, the generational change of this? We are the last generation that will, in living memory, be able to recall a time when you did not get paid going to college as a football player. This is it. We're the last one. Now, usually when you talk about these kind of things, it's a sad thing. It's a terrible thing. And that's the next thing I want to bring you to. Because you see, what set all this off for me was on YouTube. And I want you to understand white supremacy, when we call it a religion, it is because the people at the top who make $1 billion are lockstep with the people at the so-called bottom who might make $35,000 a year, but they know that they're carrying $1 million of whiteness. And the folks at the bottom, so-called quote-unquote bottom, are virulently supporting the people at the top. Now remember, the story I read to you here, this is from from ABC 7. If they're out there on the West Coast, I think it's going to be KABC then. But when you take a look at them on YouTube, now remember, this is where I got the story from. Here's their story on YouTube. And then you go down to the comments section. Now, you would expect, with all the people who try to tell you about, there is no black and white. The only color is just green. There is no black and white. The only color is green. Then you see a story like this, and all of a sudden everybody gets on code because like, wait a minute, this is going to disproportionately benefit all them Negroes. When you go to the comments section, next thing you know, it's not about black and white. The only color is green. All of a sudden the tune changes, and the folks at the so-called bottom all of a sudden become the main, most dedicated foot soldiers of the so-called folk at the top that they don't even have contact with, allegedly. And if you brought it up, they say, I don't even know them people. I never owned slaves. Why do I got to pay reparations if I never owned slaves? Because you've benefited and you support that system. That's why. I never owned slaves. No, you just benefit and supported it. And that's why here we presenting you with your bill. You go down the comment section, and every time you see it say replies, when you see somebody say something good, congratulations. When you see the word reply, just recognize what you're going to see there. Congratulations to the next generation of young athletes. You deserve it. No, they don't. Okay. Celebrate good times. Come on. The end of athletic scholarships. Have fun with that. You know the suspected white supremacists when you see them. Here's this Roger Duback. Celebrate good times. What do you mean? Like an uneducated populace? You see that, folks? Do you see that? This will be interesting. Okay, no comment there. No more NCAA slave plantations. Pay those your men their money. Pay those men their money. Now cut the check. Black to death. Brother, you should have proofread that. Anyway, 110 likes. Figure everybody would be on code. They are students, not employees. If they don't like the deal, they didn't have to take it. Okay, now they've done what they're supposed to do. They changed the deal. They have empowered themselves and changed the deal, and you sitting here hating? Okay, if the schools don't like the deal, they can turn it down. You notice he didn't say that. He didn't say this. If the schools don't like the deal, they can turn it down. You notice he didn't say that. Yeah, because they're in their heads. They got this vision of all these young black men. They're like, oh, this changes everything. And take a look at this. The reason I'm doing this program tonight is because I want you all to know, did you all see what was happening in the comment section? You would figure, can't we all agree that if folks are working, they should get paid? Oh, hell no. The white supremacists, suspected white supremacists, well, you need to get back out there and be happy we let you work. And don't worry, we're going to get to the be happy we let you work there in a little bit, folks. Oh, yeah, that's going to be in here too. That's going to be in here too. I will never understand why people like you compare it to a slave plantation. I agree that players need to be played, but comparing it to being on a slave plantation is flat out stupid. Yeah, folks, do you understand how many people walking around in the general population with you are emotionally invested in white supremacy? A bunch of them are black folk too, by the way. But they're emotionally invested in white supremacy. And let me explain what white supremacy is in very simple terms. White supremacy is the status quo. White supremacy is the way things are now. They take a look at how shamelessly they are saying, even if you work, you shouldn't get paid for it. This is in 2024, not 1824, 2024. And the sentiment is alive and well. This is such a bad take. Stop comparing sports to slavery. These kids are students, not employees, folks. They keep coming back to the money. Now, this isn't costing these suspected white supremacists anything. And take a look at how they are coming running to the defense of the NCAA. Is the NCAA giving them a check? No, but as part of the larger white society, as part of the privileged class, as part of the oppressor class, they mark their ability and their success by how low on the totem pole you are. So they're constantly monitoring how badly you're struggling. And the instant that they detect that you're no longer struggling, they all come running in. The moment that they detect that you're not struggling like you were yesterday. Ain't nobody talking about being rich. They're like, yeah, but you ain't even struggling like you were yesterday. Everybody fall in line, get in ranks, go start marching. But the NCAA ain't giving you nothing. Yes, they are. They're giving you what? They're making sure you stay down, which if you're only making half the dollars I do, we make sure you make $0. So every dollar I get is $1. And you're making no money? Oh, that's enhancing my whiteness. That's enhancing my whiteness. If I can make $1 and we make sure you make none, that enhances my whiteness. Now we'll take the white kids and they get to work at dad's McDonald's and get ready to be prepared to be managers and every damn thing else. You black kids, yeah, we want to make sure we make $1, you make none. That's enhancing my whiteness. That's what the NCAA is doing for me. That's what the NCAA is doing for their whiteness. Making sure you get nothing. And understand that, folks. They're not talking about these kids, I shouldn't say kids, but these men should get paid little. They're saying that they shouldn't get paid anything. Now, he's going to go and lie here. These kids are students, not employees. If they want to get paid through name, image, likeness, that's fine. But making the university pay them is ridiculous, especially when they get a free education. Then you get the DJ Vlads. Well, hey, shouldn't you get a free education? Okay, but y'all ain't working for a free education. Y'all ain't working for a free nothing. If the students should accept something other than money, then shouldn't the chancellor of the school be getting paid in something other than money? And the dean, shouldn't he be getting paid in something other than money? And the coach, shouldn't Nick Saban be getting paid something other than money? Why, aren't there some other ways that we can contribute to Nick Saban's development as a person other than money? Why does it have to come down to money, Nick Saban? Can't we develop you as a person in something other than money? Why don't we give Nick Saban and his family a free course in Afrocentrism since he works around all these young black people here? Shouldn't Nick Saban accept that as his compensation? Hey, Nick, we gave you free tuition for Afrocentrism. Interesting. When it's all the white men, all of a sudden, no. The only compensation we accept over here is money. When it's you, well, we found something else to compensate you with. And folks, by the way, you will find people in this comment section talking about that is compensation. That, well, giving you free education, that is compensation. Okay, so what they're saying is that your kids in elementary school and middle school, they're being compensated too with a, quote, free education, which, by the way, is not free. Which, by the way, isn't free. Now, someone responded here, if the university is making billions, not millions, billions, using the names, images, and likeness of the student athletes, many of who are dirt poor, then they should share some of those billions. But fret not, other ethnicities other than blacks will get paid too. Though not as well as the black athletes who just so happen to dominate the most profitable sports, football and basketball. And that's what your ass is really upset about. Don't worry, the non-black kids will get paid too, just not as well as the black ones, and that's why you mad as hell. In what way was this conversation related to race? LOL. Did y'all get that? In what? I didn't bring up race. We didn't mention race. Yeah, and you're just here talking about something that affects 90% black folk. So do you see the game they try to play just that quickly? We just ain't playing the game with them. Well, I didn't say anything about race. No, you just come running when you see black folk getting paid. I didn't say a word about race. No, you just jumped up to hate when you follow the dollars to see where black folk are getting them and say, oh, we shouldn't do that over there. Is there a black person being paid? Make that illegal. Whatever it is they're doing, make it illegal. I see some black folk getting paid. Stop them. Whatever they're doing, stop them. Find out what that is and stop them. Find some reason. Don't mention race. If a black person's getting paid, stop them. Whatever they're doing, stop them. That has absolutely nothing to do with it. When players start to, when someone goes LOL to something as serious as being called a racist, that's when you know the person is a racist. Because that's not something you laugh about. If somebody called you a child molester, you wouldn't be sitting there going LOL. You don't sit up here and LOL when somebody says something that's serious. If you're going LOL, oh, that's because you are the racist. When players start to only care about how much money they make and they aren't loyal to a school, That's the problem. No one is forcing them to play. It's a privilege to play at the next level while also getting a free education. Did y'all hear this? If you aren't loyal to the school, I think this jackass up here was talking about, how are you comparing this to a slave plantation? How do you have loyalty to somebody who's working you and isn't paying you? You're supposed to have loyalty to a school. Excuse me, he's not saying a word about what the school's loyalty to the athletes is supposed to be. You should be loyal. By the way, he's not going to say that about an HBCU. So understand, he's giving you all the white supremacist philosophies. That we found something more valuable than money to give you. And isn't it interesting? Everything more valuable than money is something that benefits them. It isn't something that benefits you and only you. Everything that they're, quote, giving you, they're only naming things that benefit them more and saying, oh, this is a benefit to you. Then Nick Saban needs to be volunteering to teach the kids, and let's give him a free course in African studies. But this person had the gall to say this, spoken like a true white supremacist. I mean, folks, I'm showing you, they aren't loyal to the school. He didn't say a word about how the school is loyal to them. And he's like, you need to give the school your labor. Loyalty. So the problem is you ain't loyal to us white folks. That's the problem. Now, this person responded, I would say it's actually a privilege that these schools can make billions of dollars from these athletes for free. To which he said, fun fact, the schools themselves aren't making billions off athletes, by the way. Football and basketball are the only sports to turn a profit. Also, free tuition is paying them along with what they make from NIL. Should high schools athletes be paid because they bring in money to the school? Yes. It's dumb to act like playing a sport is comparable to slavery. Getting to do what you love for as long as possible is a privilege. Okay, then you need to go tell Nick Saban and all the other college coaches and the chairmen and the deans that, do you love what you do? Yes, I do. Then your compensation is getting to do it. Do y'all hear him? Why, you should be privileged that we're letting you play football for our school and it's a privilege to make money for our school. Folks, this is why we need reparations. The plantation owner mindset ain't dead when they take a true undeniable L, and this is an L that is busted their damn souls open. This ruptured their kidneys and their spleens. They can't just walk this off. Now they're coming out with the real thing. You niggas should be happy just to work for us. You should be happy. You should get fulfillment from enriching us. It's a privilege for you to labor and sweat and toil for us. Your compensation should be loving what you do for us. Folks, that is the epitome of white privilege and white supremacy. And do you see a flood of white people coming here to shout this person down? Hell no, because they're the ones telling you, yeah, by the way, it's a privilege. As soon as you tell them that it should be a privilege for them to do something for you, hell no, that's work. Now, do you see this right here? Now, folks, this is Mississippi burning talk coming up next. Athletes before 2019 never complained about not getting money because they loved the game and they were grateful to be getting a free education. Meanwhile, Ed O'Banion and all the rest of them, because it goes before Ed. Ed was just the one that should have made a lawsuit. So understand, white supremacists, the first thing they'll do is lie. They'll fabricate history. As I said, I told y'all before, if history doesn't serve white supremacy, then they will get rid of history itself. Y'all, Jason, would they ever sit up here and go wholesale slaughter against history if it stops serving them? If history becomes a negative against white supremacy, then they will sacrifice history itself on the altar of white supremacy. Yeah, now history got to go. He sat up here and tells a bald-faced lie because he knows full damn well athletes been complaining forever about that. He knows that. He's just sitting up here in the comment section saying a lie. Well, I'm white and I say so. I'm white and I say so. So, yeah, I'm white and I say so. And by the way, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if the commenters are white or not. Remember, white supremacy is the religion. Remember that white supremacy is the religion. And everybody who has become a devotee is standing up, because if this wasn't the plan, if this was all white kids, they wouldn't be saying nothing. You don't see any time when they're democratizing paying white kids an internet startup or whatever. Oh yeah, there's a good thing right there. Hey dude, shouldn't we be taking Mark Zuckerberg and all them kids at Harvard and Yale who are doing these startups and getting paid for it? Shouldn't they have that money taken from them? Shouldn't they be just sitting there doing it for free? Hey, making Facebook, getting to do what you love is a privilege. So shouldn't we round up all these white kids and take that money back from them and say, hey, you know what? We rethought this. You're like the student athletes. You're just a student developer. So you should be happy that we allowed you to develop Facebook at our school. And you shouldn't get paid for that. You should be happy that we allowed you to develop it. You notice they don't talk like that when it's a white kid getting money in college. All of a sudden, that's okay. It's only where black kids are represented and black men are represented and black women. All of a sudden, yeah, don't do that. We're looking out for your moral character here. They've been robbing since day one. No, athletes got free tuition. That's like, do y'all see this? That's like 6 figures at a lot of schools. Not the schools these men are playing at. Now they get to take on student loans instead. Too bad playing with balls never taught you how to reach the end of a thought. So take a look at letting let the salt flow. Let the tears flow. Now take a look at this next one here. This is exactly why the country is so effed up. People expect to get paid for playing college football. Yeah, like folks expect to get paid for coaching college football. So it's wrong to get paid for playing it, but it's great to get paid mega millions for coaching it. Take a look at how all the suspected white supremacists are jumping up. You're there to get a degree. So you're playing a sport and hoping that you make it into professional sports, but if you don't, you have a college degree to fall back on. And half of these kids couldn't even spell their own name. It's really sickening how these people think they're so entitled. Folks, can Donald Trump spell his damn name? President of the damn United States, George W. Bush, Bill Clinton. They can have single-digit IQs and become president, and these folks here don't have a complaint about it. So take a look at how angry they are that their kids socioeconomically will have to compete, because remember, they give their kids privileges. That college degree don't mean nothing when you have to go to this Johnny dude. You got to go to his company and compete against his kids for a job. No, he's going to give his kids preferential treatment and privilege, economic privilege. Okay, well, that economic privilege needs to be spread around. So take a look at how frightened they are at the prospect of their kids, them, not just their kids, but them and their kids having to compete. Because 1 minute you got the NCAA and the next minute you got Ice Cube and the Big Three. And then all of a sudden you watch white privilege evaporate. Within 1 or 2 decades, a millennium of white privilege can evaporate in 1 or 2 decades. Take a look at how frightened they are. Funny how nobody complained about college coaches' salaries being higher than professors, but people are upset about the ones bringing the revenue getting paid. White supremacy at its finest. Now, do you think somebody's going to have a coherent argument here? First, second one here. They were already getting paid in the form of scholarships and full rides. People, do you see this garbage here? I mean, right off the plantation. This is why y'all got to cut the check. This is why we got to have reparations across the board, because the slave master is still very much here, very much alive, and very much trying to guard his turf with the same old plantation babble. He is very much alive, very much well, and very much still here. You need to pay your check. M. Brown, you need to pay your check too. The problem here is going to come from students not participating properly in their classes because they can make more money now in the sport. Bill Gates, Mark Zuckerberg, folks, all these people with these internet companies, all these damn college dropouts. Remember what he's phrasing it as, oh, I'm trying to protect you. You don't need all that evil money. You need to focus on your classes here, because without your classes, you can't make it. Okay, what about all these white folk who dropped out of school? Oh, well, don't worry about them. But yeah, I'm looking out for you. Folks, I told you they're going to tell you that literally going to their school is your compensation. That is your financial compensation. They were already getting paid in the form of, now we're the only people that folks come up to us talking about you can get paid in some form other than money. Now, when you and I walk up to them and say, hey, I'll pay you with something other than money, they say, nigga, get out my store. Look at you in here begging. Why don't you go work? Trying to get a free handout and trying to get a handout and a free ride. See, when we talk about getting something and paying other than money, everybody tells us we're looking for a handout and a free ride. When we tell them, hey, by the way, nothing other than money, I found another way to pay you. And they're literally in here saying this. This will be detrimental to the students in the long run in most cases. Once again, I'm protecting you from money. See, that money is going to corrupt you. It won't corrupt my kids. That money is going to corrupt you. So you see, I'm not holding you back. I'm looking out for you. That's how I can be so evil and wicked and white supremacist. While I tell them, I'm looking out for you. I'm protecting you from that money that you would use to compete against me and my children. I'm actually protecting you. You're better off poor, actually. Why don't you just go in that classroom and get you a degree so you can go to work for one of our other white companies and you can be of use there. So you are free use in college and you can be of nominal use in one of our companies. Folks, white supremacy is a religion. And yes, you all are correct. This is absolute evil right here. This guy right here, this is evil. This is not bad. This is not a difference of opinion. This is absolute, raw, uncut, pure evil. The slave plantation owners are not dead. Their descendants and their associated descendants are very much alive, very much well, and still trying to practice plantation white supremacy. Someone here responded, scholarships and full rides. You're trolling, right? No, but also just ignoring the second half. This should end as well. Coaches making millions is a bunch of BS. This is why we aren't leading the world friggin' sports. There's really no argument against that. There really isn't. And you can check to see if I'm checking to see if anybody else responded to him. But by the way, why are you paying them that much? They shouldn't get that. So, yeah, paying coaches millions of dollars. So the white supremacists are doing what they do. They're sitting up here, okay, how can we hold you down? And it's not racism. Oh, no, it's not because of your race. No. It's not race. Now, someone said, is there any evidence that anything you said in the second half of your paragraph is true? You've asserted a baseless claim. Why should anyone believe it is true? He said, because it's the logical outcome. If sports pays you more, you'll spend more time doing sports. They're already doing that. First of all, you're dealing with a white supremacist liar because they're already doing that. The schools, the classroom time is already a joke. The players are already exempt from grades in their classrooms now. The schools already have them spending 90% of their time at school doing sports now. That's the way it's always been for the last 3 decades. They're already doing that, and this guy's trying to act like, oh no, that's not what it is. So this understands a white man who's allegedly at the bottom is defending the billion-dollar structure at the top. That's because that structure benefits him. As a recipient and beneficiary of white supremacy, he has to protect it at all levels because it benefits him. If sports pays you more, you'll spend more time doing sports. Football players already don't get much value in the education generally, and with the added incentive not to, it would only get worse. He said they already don't get much value, so then what are you trying to protect? Given that it has not occurred, there is no strict evidence one way or another, so you have to use logic in the hypothetical. So in other words, where's your proof? Well, I estimate that'll happen. I have no proof, but I estimate it. So just recognize what you're dealing with there. They are invested in us being held down, and the moment that the wall broke, they couldn't contain themselves. They are literally making white slave plantation owner arguments. When they're not lying, they're making white plantation owner arguments. Shamelessly so. Arguments that, ironically enough, interestingly enough, these arguments will not apply anywhere else in society. There's the other thing. None of these arguments they're making will apply anywhere else in society. It'll only apply where you're concerned. That's how you know it's a lie, because you can't transport this argument and apply it anywhere else. They'll tell you, oh no, you can't use that over there. If this argument is true about you're getting paid with satisfaction and something other than money, then you should be transporting this argument into other places in society, and they're not doing it. Eric Cartman, I guess at South Park. Ooh, now we have to pay our athletes? What had become of this once great and peculiar institution? For those of you who don't know your history, American slavery was defined as a peculiar institution. Back in the chattel slavery days, it was called a peculiar institution. All right. First comment here. What is an athletic scholarship? LOL. It's amazing how people just be giving themselves L's these days. No need for an oppressor. An athletic scholarship is somebody paying the school, dummy. You seriously think places like Iowa or Idaho would have these black star athletes if it wasn't profitable for them, the state, and the school? So folks know what in the hell's going on. They know what's going on. Did you see this right here? An athletic scholarship is worth a lot more than the minimum wage these kids are going to get. As if the schools are not going to give them a scholarship and pay them. Do you see how these folks are trying to fool you and deceive you? They're gonna go to school free because the schools need the athletes more than the athletes need the schools. And if the athletes don't pay, the school's gonna take care of them regardless. And they're sitting in this comment section lying because he knows that's what's going to happen. They're gonna get taken care of by the schools the same way that the NFL athletes get taken care of by the league. They're trying to frighten you and scare you. You know, you're going to get paid less than you would if you got minimum wage. So they are fully invested and dedicated to white supremacy to the last. This tells you how much of a free ride the white supremacist system and white privilege has given them. They've gotten such a tremendous free ride. Take a look at how paranoid and frightened they are by it. They've immediately gone to work trying to scare you. They responded, minimum wage, LOL, you are delusional. Guys like Reggie Bush and Johnny Manziel would have made multi-millions in college if they were allowed to be paid. So he responded, Walmart has made $6.77 billion in 2019, but third grade math will tell you that this is only $1.50 per employee per hour. You're looking at revenue. You don't understand bills because you live with your mom still, and the scale we're talking about is beyond you. So once again, they have to lie for everything that they're saying here. They have to lie for everything that they're saying. What the hell? So you get that? White supremacists, when they take a L, that's it. She says it's about time slavery is over. And the white supremacists are getting worse. Slavery, LOL, they're playing a game they love to play. That's a far cry from being enslaved. To which she said, free labor? Why shouldn't the players be compensated? Everyone else is making billions. There are currently $2 trillion in student loan debt that athletes have gotten to avoid. Your scholarships just ended. Time to enjoy everyone else. Time to join everyone else, LOL. If he truly believed that, he wouldn't be in the comments section. By the way, he wouldn't be in the comments section. And this clown comes back with this damn Walmart thing, which is false. But by the way, yeah, you take a look at that. You see this here? The same. Why shouldn't they pay the athletes? For the same reason the students don't get paid to go to class. We're not generating billions of dollars for the school. If you're sitting in a math class at Texas State University or a biology class, you're not generating revenue for the school. That's the difference. You attending class doesn't generate revenue for the schools. To which they responded here, okay, is that 49? That might be one of my listeners. But the students who go to class don't earn these schools trillions annually. Stop it. Here come the white supremacists are coming back again. You go to school to learn and to get a degree. You're playing an extracurricular activity. Why should you get paid for that if you're good enough to reap the benefits and move on to professional sports? So get your pie in the sky. Oh, the school's making money, but why do you need to get paid now? You can get paid when you get to heaven. I mean the NFL. Did you get that, folks? White supremacist plantation mentality, literally. Why, you don't need to get paid in college. You can get paid when you go to heaven. I mean the NFL. When you get there, then you'll get paid. But I left all my labor with you back in college. And if I don't go to the end, you got your benefits now. So you want to get guaranteed benefits at the school and you want me to take a gamble. But you've already extracted value from me. Why can't I extract some value from myself? I swear to God, you people think you're entitled to everything. And that's not how the world works. If people stop watching college sports, then you're not going to have nothing. And honestly, I'm turned off by professional sports now, especially football. Now I won't even watch college football anymore.
And deal with it, nigga.
Carry your ass. Ain't nobody missing you. He thinks he's going to shut down the sports in America because he left the building. Would you like me to get you a train ticket to get your ass out of here? That's just how much we gonna miss you. Would you like me to get a Uber for your ass back to your efficiency apartment? I can take care of that for you. But do you all understand the gall to say this? He's sitting there, I swear, you people think you're entitled to everything. What? From the guy defending the coaches and the schools and the chancellors and the chairmen and the deans who are entitled to benefit from your labor. White supremacy takes both sides of an argument. So the most entitled people in the room are telling you that, I swear, I can't stand entitled people. What? The only person getting any entitlement is telling you that they can't stand entitled people. White supremacy is I'm white and I say so. It's only entitlement if you're getting any benefits. He's supposed to get that. It's not if you show it, you supposed to get whatever he said you can get. But if he show up, he's supposed to get that. He's supposed to get that. You ain't supposed to. He's supposed to get it. Boy, they mad down here, aren't they? My man 749 said, well, I can count to 2 billion, and now thankfully so can these athletes. And that number is only going to increase. They said, that's right. They can pay for their own damn school. All right. Folks, the kids are going to get a free tuition and they're going to get money. They're going to get all their value. They're going to get all their value. And these folks are fighting, spitting mad that you will not be suffering. Understand something. What they're arguing for is so we don't get to steal and oppress you anymore. People, you can't make a moral argument to an immoral bastard. Malcolm X told us this. You're trying to make a moral argument to evil people. You're trying to appeal to the good moral nature of evil individuals. Let's talk about the devil next door. No, not the devil 100 years ago. Let's talk about the devil next door. Let's talk about the demon next door. Let's talk about the white supremacist next door, who will sit up here and tell you that he's not profiting from it. Well, if you weren't profiting from it, and if the schools made this deal, then who are you to speak on it? Go back to watching your games and be done with it. But if you're arguing this heavy over something that you don't even have to pay, then why are you so angry? There must be some other dimension. It must be the one they're all talking about. And when it gets down to it, how dare you niggas get paid for working? Now you're closing that gap between you and us. Why are they so mad over something that doesn't cost anything? Oh, you're closing that gap between you and us. That's what they're angry about. That's what they're mad about. That's what they're upset over. That's what they're fighting about. That's what they're spitting over. That's what's got them sitting up here angry as hell. You're closing that gap between you and us. By the way, he's talking about there were slaves of every race. Thank God that you never had to live in those days. And that goes for everyone, not just black people, because there were slaves in every race. So every white supremacist talking point, he's walking it down. Every white supremacist lie, he's walking it down. And folks, by the way, it is scrumptious.
Cookie! Nom, 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 oh, nom, 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 nom.
Yes, sir. Welcome to L Burger.
Welcome to Good Burger, home of the Good Burger. Can I take your order?
I want you to eat this L. Gobble it up. It's delicious. This is delicious. Your tears are delicious. Let me pour a big, tall, cold glass. Yes, sir. Oh, the tears are delicious. The anguish is scrumptious. Scrumptious, delectable. Do you have any hate, Poupon? Well, as a matter of fact, I do. Sap sucker. As a matter of fact, I do. Matter of fact, let me grab yours over there. I mean, you take a look at them. They are angry as hell. And you know why? Because there's not a damn thing they can do about it. They're really upset because there's not a damn thing that they can do about it. And oh yeah, you're still gonna have to tune in to the games because you need them more than you hate them. And you gonna be mad as hell. And oh yeah, everybody here, can I just go ahead and say to y'all what the real reason is? Oh, you ain't gonna like it here, Johnny and Brown and all the rest of y'all. You about to be real big mad, fella. You about to be real big mad, partner. You about to be real big mad, partner, because I know what it is that is upsetting you. I know what it is. I know why you're mad. I know why you're angry. And I'm just here to tell you, oh, you're absolutely right. What you angry about is absolutely right. And oh yeah, one more thing I want to show y'all. This is Johnny's page. Here's Johnny's page, by the way. By the way, here's Johnny's page. You see that? Oh yeah, one more thing. This guy who is all hard body over here in the comments talking about ain't no slavery and you black folk this and that. By the way, here's his page. By the way, I just thought I'd show you. Yeah. Yeah. You see that flag right there? There's his page. There he is. There it is. There you go. There you go. All right. But we know what you're upset over here, Johnny boy. We know what you're upset over. We know. We know. And you're going to continue to be mad. And what I'm going to say next is going to make it even worse for you. It's going to make it even worse. And by the way, that's the Italian flag. So this dude's claiming to be Italian here, so he's getting upset. All right, but the fellow with the Italian flag who's sitting up here trying to speak on us, y'all know what he's really upset over, right? Y'all know what he really mad over. Why in the hell is he just fighting mad over it? You know what he's really mad over, right? You know what he's really mad over. Because he's wondering to himself about what in the world he's going to do if in a situation like this, because he's wondering, it's hard enough out here with him having to do this thing the way he is. It's hard enough doing that. Hard enough. And he's trying to figure out how he can fix that. He's trying to figure out some way to make that work out. Because he's looking at the future. He's looking at the future and it looks damned bleak. It looks damn bleak for him. They sitting up here trying to say, you know what? What are we going to do? What are we going to do? We need some help. Because if we let this go, and you ain't really got no choice for it, you don't really have a choice, what are we going to do? We sit up here and look up one day, and if we allow them to get paid in college, we're probably going to end up seeing a whole lot more of this. Now, you see how these fellas are pulling, and let's just call it what it is. They ain't getting the damn cast-offs and whatnot. They getting the chicks that these white dudes fight over. They getting the ones they fighting over. They're getting the ones they scrapping over. They getting the ones that these dudes are like, I'll be damned, that's the chick right there. And then they come straight up in there. They have bespoiled our Becky. Becky is bespoiled. Oh, she's runt. Don't you mean ruined? No, she runt. Just that quickly. And oh yeah, one more thing. Take a look at how they sitting there smiling. Oh, that's got to be rough on you, Johnny boy. Take a look at them smiling, because you know those are genuine smiles of glee. Those are genuine smiles of glee and giddiness. Them gals is like, boy, look here, can't wait to go back up to his hotel room. And you know it. That's why you sitting over here looking all sad, broken, depressed, like this is 1600s Italy. Oh, he looking bad over there, y'all. He's looking bad. Hate to be him. He's sitting here talking about it was hard enough to keep the white girls off of them when we were keeping them broke. Can you imagine what's going to happen at these colleges now when these fellas are getting signed to their college acceptance letters are going to come with a $250,000 bonus? Damn! Oh, can you imagine what it's going to sound like for them now from here on in? Can y'all imagine what that's going to be like? You talking about the NFL combine. What about the high school combine? Oh, don't worry, it's coming. Oh, you thought it was bad before. Can y'all imagine what is going? You had to wait until the combine to see the white girls smiling like the white cheerleaders smiling like this. Oh, dude, they ain't going to make it out of senior year in high school now. They ain't going to make it out of that. Oh, it's going to be a rip from there. It's going to be a rip. I mean, it's going to be a wrap. I mean, that is over. He's sitting there looking all sad and impoverished and sloppy and depressed. He's like, at least I got my $1 million of whiteness. And coming in from high school. Damn, there goes my damn $1 million of whiteness. There it goes. Oh, they just cut my million. Y'all gonna cut my $1 million worth of whiteness down to about 500,000. Yes, sir. You know that's what's bothering him. He's like, wait a minute. Wait a minute. The white girls were already ignoring us. At least we gave ourselves a 4-year window. They were already ignoring us when we had y'all held down with a 4-year window. What we supposed to do if they gonna pay y'all coming in the door? They're gonna pay you coming in the door? Now we're gonna have to watch. Oh, we're gonna have to watch all these white girls chasing these fellas now for 4 damn years, and you know what's gonna be going on. Freak off. Jason, did you just say that? I sure did.
Deal with it, nigga.
They gonna be like, boy, look here, we going straight to the freak off. Can you imagine that? You're gonna have to sit there. You will be subjected to watching that for 4 damn straight years. Cause them chicks gonna jump on it from day one. It's like, oh, I heard about you in high school. I heard about you in high school. Can you imagine what the competition gonna be like then? The white dudes are gonna be sitting over there with their pocket protectors looking like Bill Gates, and well, at least we'll get one of them and you're just gonna be watching them get run through one by the other by the other. Oh, they're gonna be lined up at the dorms. And then the fellas gonna have some real paper to spend for a damn change. You're gonna have to see them one weekend after another getting out dudes S-Class, getting out of dudes Maybach GLS, one after another. Oh, it's gonna be torment. It's gonna be torment when them dudes pull up every week and drop them hoes off. It's, oh, y'all think Johnny is sick now. You think he's mad now. Can you imagine what he gonna be in 2025? Oh, 2026. Can you imagine what he will be in 2026? You think he looks sick and pathetic tonight? You ain't seen nothing until 2026 come around. Oh, he gonna be on suicide watch. You're gonna see them girls all on TikTok. The white dude's gonna go crazy on TikTok. Look at them. They're over there with their brothers. All you mud ducks. I hope they kill and rape you all. YouTube gonna bash me for that one, but y'all know it's coming. I hope a pack of them runs on you. I hope a pack of them gets you all. I hope they take you behind the bleachers and just a pack of them just ravage you. I hope. She's like, hey, that actually pretty. Anyway. I hope they diddy all of you. She's like, yeah, I hope they do too. letting y'all know what's coming. For all the people who started with us and didn't get to finish with us, that's just your fate. We never stopped moving. We never stopped doing what we were doing. We have stayed persistent and consistent. And the things that you swore up and down were never going to happen, never going to occur, all you folks of little faith and little brains. And every year that goes by now, you're taking a new L and a new L. And what you all are noticing is, by the way, they're so damn embarrassed now. They're so damn humiliated. They're not even talking anymore. Now they're just screaming and yelling and squealing. This ain't gonna turn out well. So they can't tell you that it's never gonna happen. Now they're gonna tell, well, it's a bad thing. This will be bad when it happens. And don't worry, they gonna be right there. They're going to be right there. They gonna be right there. Yeah, in the chat room. Yeah, we'll let Johnny have Tarana Burke. They'll let him have Tarana Burke. You can have him. Oh, y'all think they bad now? Let me tell you. I want to explain this to you all in societal terms. As far as they are concerned, let me get this bastard back up here one more time. As far as he is concerned, this is a clear and undeniable sign of societal decline. As far as he is concerned, this is clear, undeniable proof of a society in decline. And he's right. The white supremacist society is in decline. For an Italian, he should be able to appreciate this statement is going the way of Rome. Yes, your white supremacist society is in decline because with this door open, things will never be the same. And this is going to shift a tremendous amount of wealth. And one more thing here, Johnny Jackass. These fellas are going to be able to make so much money in college, they won't need your little old penny ass degree.
And deal with it, nigga.
And that's the part you really mad about is, by the way, they'll be able to do so well for themselves in college that, like your kids don't need a degree. Now you're angry and upset that you won't be able to hold back the economic process of these young folk. Yeah, and they'll be able to make it work and won't need a degree. Because they'll be extracting their value now, not chasing a degree that you've already set up and engineered the workforce to be able to neutralize the value of their degree. They'll have degrees they can't use sitting up here listening to you. Now they found a way around it, and all of a sudden you mad as hell because you're like, oh, I'll be damned, it's only going to get worse from here. Yes, Johnny boy, it's only going to get worse from here. For you. It only gets worse from here. It sure does. It sure does. Absolutely. Do you have a daughter, Johnny? Damn! Johnny, do you have any daughters going to college? Nieces going to college? Nieces, daughters in college, Johnny boy? Do you got any of them there? But don't worry. For the last few decades here, we've had the privilege of giving the schools our labor. I got a feeling some of your kinfolk are going to get some privileges here shortly too, if they're not getting them already. So believe me, fella, if you had any hopes to turn that frown upside down, oh, trust me, it only gets worse from here. Hey, but look on the bright side, Johnny boy. With their new paychecks, at least they'll be able to drop your daughter off at home himself in his brand new Mercedes.
And deal with it, nigga.
Yeah, they won't have to call her an Uber anymore. Why, he can actually come drop her off in his Mercedes now. You see? everything worked out fine. You were all worried that this was going to go bad, but do you see how they're going to make your life so much easier? Just saying. Yes, sir. Is sports black empowerment? Absolutely. Use it properly, it absolutely is. We're going to go ahead and wrap up tonight's program. If you are new here to the Black Channel, welcome to the Haven of Intelligent Black Thought. We do this every weekend. Click that red subscribe button, click that notification bell, join us each and every time that we're here. If you haven't been to our website, blackchannelfilms.com, you want to go and check out our groundbreaking, best-selling documentary work, 7 a.m., Gentrified, Race War, soon to be 8 a.m. Be on the lookout here for around Juneteenth. We're going to be reinstituting the crowdfunding for that as well. Cannot wait to bring that to you all. When you see that drop, you haven't seen anything yet. And a little something extra coming along with it. I want to thank Ryan and everybody else who has contributed to support tonight's program on PayPal, Super Chat, Venmo. Thank you all very much for your support. Thank you all for liking, subscribing, and sharing. And this concludes tonight's broadcast of the Black Channel. I am your host, your brother, your humble servant, the Black Authority. And until next time, my brothers and my sisters from around the world, remember, black is the future, and the future is uncompromising.